Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SportsPoint. My name is Frankie Breit. Thanks so much for being here on this fantastic Wednesday morning. We're bringing you another episode of your favorite sports show on campus. So much to talk about this week. We've got the big game, the Super Bowl. We're not monetized. Coming up next week. And, of course, we're going to talk about men's Uwsp hockey. They've been on a tear recently. It's been scary, but they keep winning. I'll introduce my co-hosts, as always, joined by Brody, Kupsky, and Liam Statz. Thank you, boys, so much for being here. If we go to the wide shot, things look a little bit different. We're kind of condensed. I can see you guys better.
Kind of.
It's marginally different. We hung another backdrop, and I can talk to you guys more clearly, I think.
I kind of like it because instead of like turning like this way,
right?
It's just
I could talk to Liam easily, but if I want to talk to Brody, it had to be like oh hey Brody. A separate conversation.
Oh, so it's all his fault that we're like this, huh?
Yeah, it's Brody's fault.
Yeah, sorry guys, that's on me.
Let's be real, you guys. It's Brody's fault. First segment of the day, you know what it is. Crowning Champions this is the segment where we go around the entire sports world, pick out someone or something we think deserves to be crowned. And this week, guys, I'm going with Kenny Clark. The Packers veteran defensive tackle, and he's not even 30 years old. That's right, the Packers drafted him when he was 30, and I think he made his third Pro Bowl appearance this past weekend. The Pro Bowl's very different now.
I remember back in the day
when it was Sean Taylor decking quarterbacks. Yeah, I miss those days. But now we've got flag football, but albeit very entertaining competitions between like the tug of war.
I really wouldn't call it the Pro Bowl anymore. I would just say it's like a skills competition.
Yes,
that's essentially what it is.
If they marketed it more like that than like the Pro Bowl, I think it would get a little bit more traction.
Yeah, no, I like that they still stick with the all-star aspect of it, but I do miss seeing everyone collectively wearing the same jersey but their own helmets from each team. That was such a cool sight every year. But I love like the skills competitions that they do show, like the accuracy throwing the football and dodgeball, like you said. And what was the other one they went like through like this? I don't know,
like
obstacle course,
gauntlet.
the
that's
gauntlet,
what Kenny Clark
gauntlet.
did.
Yeah,
that's the one Kenny Clark competed in. He, I think, was the second or first contestant for the NFC in that competition. The NFC did win. So shout out Kenny Clark. Like I said, I believe third Pro Bowl. And the NFC won the flag football competition at the end of the weekend. Came down to the final play. Now, mind, Eli Manning coached the NFC. Peyton Manning coached the AFC. This was very competitive. Like, their two brothers going head-to-head, they both wanted it. Peyton lost. He was down on his knees, after they lost. It was important to them.
Well, because he knows that he's going to have to go home and just hear
exactly. Cooper Manning's still the favorite of the family. I don't know what they're worried about. But, yeah, this game came down to the final play at the goal line. A pass that was broken up to give the NFC the win. So, love to see it. I'm always going to back the NFC because the Packers are obviously in the NFC. But, yeah, that is my champion. Liam, what do you got this week?
Well, I was originally going to put Kenny Clark, but when I looked in there, he already put it, and I got really mad at him for like 10 minutes.
Too fast.
Notre Dame hockey, my champion of the week, for splitting with Michigan State University and keeping Wisconsin's regular season hopes alive. And we'll go into more detail with that at the last kind of portion of the show. But honestly, because they split, we are still have a chance to keep in it.
And we're talking men's collegiate hockey.
Yes, men's collegiate hockey.
Yes, sir. Can't wait to talk more about it, Liam, at the tail end of the show. Brody, what do you got?
So I'm going to go with another racing one because racing's like my second favorite sport besides baseball. Ryan Blaney, past champion just this past year. Awesome stuff. This past weekend, the Busch Light Clash at the LA Coliseum was this past weekend. It was supposed to be on Sunday, but due to very high chance of rain, they moved it to Saturday night just really quickly, which kind of didn't bring a ton of fans that they were going to have, but actually brought in a decent amount, and the racing was pretty good. So Blaney did not have a great qualifying time. I think the big reason was they used scuffed tires to just save on tires before the actual race, and he didn't look good in his qualifying run, but a provisional was given to just one driver. I believe it just went off point system since Blaney won the championship last year. He got to use that provisional to get in, and he started from the back. There was 23 drivers total that raced in the race, and Blaney was 23rd starting out the race. But eventually, through all 150 laps, he went up and got third place in that. So big shout out to him. Also shout out to Denny Hamlin, who won the race. He looked really phenomenal and trying trying to hopefully win a championship. He has not won a championship since he's been racing since 2006.
That's crazy.
So
now, is this Spring Cup Series?
yes.
Okay, when did the Daytona 500 happen?
No, it was a Busch Light Clash.
Right, but when is the Daytona 500?
The weekend after the Super Bowl.
Okay, so it's coming up.
February 18th.
Because I know Denny Hamlin. Yeah, he's
That's
still
the
going.
only one
though,
that I
huh?
know.
Hamlin still is going. He does own a team with Michael Jordan, so
Gotcha.
big shout out to
That's crazy. Michael Jordan.
23 XI Racing.
Doing everything.
He's just dipping his hand there, dipping it here. That's awesome.
The Daytona 500 is like the only thing I understood out of any of that, by the way.
Anytime we can talk about Ryan Blaney, it's a good show. You know what I mean? Thank you guys so much for crowning your champions for this week. Stay tuned for next week as we continue to highlight aspects of the sports world. The 3-Point Tri-Campus Roundup is up next, sponsored by Point Brewery, specifically Point Soda. We've got all the flavors lined up here. We've talked about it. We know what it is. Thank you so much to Point Brewery for sponsoring this segment of the show. And if you guys don't know, we are changing the flavor of the month as we go on with this show. And this month's flavor is none other than Black Cherry Cream, guys. I'm so pumped to try this. Last month's flavor was root beer, and prior to that, I believe it was Kitty Cocktail. Fantastic sodas thus far. Liam's already broken into his. Let's pop this open for your 30 seconds of ASMR here on the show. If you don't like this, just skip. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers. Good job, Brody.
Oh, thank you.
That's really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah. It's pretty
I like this more than root beer and Kitty Cocktail.
Really?
Disagree.
I like cream soda, so I'm really excited for this one, orange cream and vanilla cream coming up. We're kind of in my threshold now. We got to get to grape, too, man. Don't forget about
That's
grape.
my favorite, by the way.
That's your favorite? Your favorite is what, Brody?
Kitty Cocktail. Dude, nothing beats that.
Nothing beats that,
Nothing
huh?
beats that.
Well, again, thank you to Point Brewery. We love your product. Go check it out. Walmart, Quick Trip, you'll find it there. They might have it at Lower DeBow, too, on campus.
Yes. Very sparingly, though.
Yep. You might
Sometimes.
find it here on campus, too. So keep an eye out. It's great stuff. Like we said, the 3-Point Tri-Campus Roundup, we highlight some sort of sports aspect here on campus. So this week, I'm going to go with 2-for-1 kind of series here. You know what I mean? UWSP men's volleyball just started their first season, and we're talking about them last week. We're talking about them now. They're 3-4 on the year, so currently a losing record, but it's their inaugural. How do I say that word?
Inaugural.
Thanks, Liam. That season. And they picked up their first road win of the year. It's a huge momentum win for them. Oh, let's mute the laptop. Red card. I'm so happy for them, especially as this is their first season, and I think that alone is a win. So
Shout out Henry Rowden.
yes, sir. A lot of season left to play, so great job on that big momentum win on the road. And secondly, I want to highlight women's hockey. They completed their season sweep over Northland this past weekend. Huge congratulations to them. I know you talk about you're talking men's hockey, aren't you?
He was also going to talk about women's hockey.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop talking there, and Liam's gonna cover that as we get to him in this
It's
segment.
literally the first time we've ever talked about them, I think, so far that we've been doing SportsPoint. Really, I think it is.
Well, I know, and I have followed them not as closely as men's hockey this season, but their goaltender,
Just put up 50 win saves every single game.
Yes.
That's zero help.
she's insane. She is
Emily
insane.
Greige and Ann Burke.
Yeah, and I think obviously you can ask around. Maybe they're not having the season that they want to have this year, but nonetheless, like this past weekend, getting that season sweep of Northland, that's got to feel good. And again, I guess a momentum win. So more on that from Liam. So let's just send it to you, Liam. What do you got?
Oh, it's already over to me. Oh.
Yeah, man. On your toes,
well,
we're moving through this
We're going to
show.
start with men's hockey because that's what I prepared for. And I actually was like, yeah, we should talk about men's hockey this week. We've never done it before. And I put it in. Men's hockey won both their games against Northland. Both of them were away games. Northland kicked our butts for 59 minutes on Friday night.
Dang.
59 minutes.
Yes.
They were winning for most of the game. We scored on a shorthanded goal to tie it up. And in the last minute, Fletcher Anderson scores to take the game winner.
And he leads the team in goals, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I think
He's
at
insane.
about 10. I think.
No, he had 10 last week.
Do you have 10 last? So he's at 11.
It's gotta be 11 or 12. Yeah,
11 or 12 right now. I'm not sure.
Either way, he scores a lot of goals.
He scores a lot of goals. We won 4-3 on Saturday. It was a lot of the same. Northland kept with us all the way through. The Pointers barely come away with the sweep. Honestly, they did not look good. They did not look good at one point this weekend. Ryan McGuire had his third start, his fifth game overall. He improves to 3-1 on the season. I think he made about 21 saves. Victor Wenberg is in the same situation.
Poor guy.
that we were just talking about, he leads the nation in both D1 and D3 in saves made.
No, that's the Northland goaltender.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me it's a goaltending issue when that man's literally standing on his head out there. He's getting nothing.
Yeah.
No help.
And I think there's something to be said about Northland, like them not having the season they want and what that kind of does to a team. It lights the fire under you to go out there and take it to a team like Point, who is maybe considered the best in the conference. They're first, so why wouldn't you say that? But yeah, I mean, if I was on that team, I'd be motivated to go out and play my best hockey. So, you know.
They do have a brand new coaching core. They fired everybody. Their highest tenured coach is only his third season. So, I mean, everybody's new. They've got a lot of new guys. Not a lot of people want to go to Northland and play hockey. So it's basically, hey, you're already going here anyways. You play hockey, why not? You know. Mm-hmm. And despite that, I mean, they're 1-22. But they haven't been bad losses. I don't think they've been blown out a single game. I mean, it's been close every single time.
Like I think against Stout they got blown out, but either way they make it close. And kind of with that, like Wenberg, you know, I looked at his record before this. He has their one win of the season, which is awesome. But then you look at the losses, he's like 1-19 now because of that, and it kind of looks bad, and it kind of feel bad because it's like, you know, you do all this work and not saying your team doesn't help you, but like they just don't win games, and it's frustrating almost.
Do you know the one team they beat this year?
Was that
Lawrence University?
It was Lawrence University?
Yes.
Thank you. I didn't know. I was
First
just
game of the
looking up,
season.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's tough. You start your year 1-0 and then you lose 22 in a row.
Streak.
That's quite the skid. Geez.
The last series of the regular season coming up this weekend, it's against UW Superior. They are two must-win games to check the standings. If we split and Eau Claire sweep Stout, we will lose the regular season championship.
You're kidding.
No, they are right on our tail.
Highly important games.
Highly important. Eau Claire is obviously looking to go. I think they have to play in Stout, though.
They're playing in Stout.
They play in Stout.
That's not going to be easy.
No, Stout is probably going to, because I think that if Stout sweeps, they'll be number 2.
Really?
Yes. So that's how tightly contested everybody at the WIAC is right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of like speaks to how important the games in the regular season are when like they got that win here in Point. Like that they're not in the position now to be second if they don't win that game.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, second seed holds a lot of merit too, because if you're first or second, you get a first round bye.
Right.
True.
So
right.
it's second seed just as valuable as number 1 overall.
Yeah, and SportsPoint here at Pointer Studios will be covering both games Friday and Saturday
We got a
night.
surprise on
here
Saturday.
on the YouTube channel. Liam and I will be on the coverage for either of those, and Brody will also be in the booth there with us. 90 FM will be there Friday night, the first of the 2 games that weekend, and we'll have a co-stream with them on Friday. Liam, let's talk about women's hockey.
Well, this is the first time talking about them all season. It's our fault. I mean, they just kind of have not had the season that we kind of were hoping that they'd have. They swept Northland, though, here at home on 4-1 on Friday. Very well on that game. Emily Griege, I think, 22 saves. 2-1 Saturday. That one kind of a little bit closer, but I think that was Ann. I can't remember her last name off the top of my head right now, but she had 21 saves. Pretty good showing that we kind of expect from them. I mean, they're not having a terrible season. They do have, I think, 7 wins now. They're 7-14 and 1 on the season. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you said it. I want to grab that name really quick.
Yeah,
because
I can't remember it. It's going to make me
I know.
upset.
I read it. I literally read it.
And Beck.
And Beck, thank you. And I wanted to. I know we haven't talked about it a lot, but like back to their goaltenders being so stout for them, and I mean their season's the same timeline as the men's hockey team, so
Roughly, yeah.
So they got a few more games left.
2 more.
Two more. Well, hey, why not finish strong and see what happens?
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think Emily Griege also set the record for most saves in a game in Point history.
That's right.
A couple games ago.
Yeah.
against
That's
Eau Claire.
right.
I think
Was it like
against Eau Claire.
55 or something?
56.
56. Geez, well done. Brody, what are we going to talk about here with men's and women's basketball?
So the men's team, they won against UW Stout 82-63 at home last Wednesday, and then lost the Saturday after versus Lacrosse 79-61. That was also a home game. The Stout game, Josiah Butler 20 points, Malik Abdul-Wahid 19 points. In the Lacrosse game, Wahid with 12, Darius Bolden with 10. Nothing great, and Lacrosse really shot the lights out from the three-point line in the first half, 9 for 10. It's insane. They played really well. The next game is on the road versus UW Whitewater today at 7 p.m. They won against Whitewater last time, which was huge, and then they play at home on Saturday versus UW Platteville, which they also won against. So a couple good games there. Hopefully, same result for the Pointers men's team this weekend could could potentially look good in the future. Now for the women's side, kind of off and on, kind of a little rough, but lost to Stout on the road, 68-58. We're leading for a little bit in the game and kind of close game between the two. But then won against UW Cross, 62-45, also on the road. That was last Saturday. In the Stout game, Gabby Galita with 12 points, Courtney Krieger 5 points, just only 9 points in the fourth quarter compared to 19 by Stout, so they got outscored by a good margin in that fourth quarter, so not great there. But for the lacrosse game, Lex Thompson 18 points and Gabby Galita with 17 points. The next game is today at home against UW Whitewater at 7 p.m. and then Saturday on the road at UW Platteville.
Thank you, Brody. That was really well done. Cheers. No. Thank you so much for the basketball updates. Basketball is one of those things that I love to watch but don't get into very much.
Same.
You know
Kind
what
of
I mean?
same. Like, I played it, yeah, but it just compared to other sports like baseball, I'll watch baseball more than I watch basketball.
It's just kind of something that if it's on, I'll watch it. Like if the Bucks are on the radio or on the TV and there's something else,
Right. Yeah, men's basketball continues to have a good season. Women's basketball obviously had that hot start, and they're still very competitive throughout this season. So love to see them pull out a win here coming up as the season continues. But huge shout out to both teams. Thank you guys for joining us for the 3-Point Tri-Campus Roundup, sponsored by Point Brewery. NFL update time, you guys. This is the longest segment of the show every week. Maybe it's not this week. We'll see. There's only one thing really to talk about with the NFL, and that's the Super Bowl, the big game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the Chiefs versus the 49ers in the 2023 season Super Bowl. Now, I believe the Niners were 13-4, or were they 12-5?
I think 13-4.
13-4.
Because they're the first seed.
Right, and I think that the Chiefs were 11-6.
Sounds about right.
Nobody really was thinking the Chiefs were going to make it this far. I certainly didn't want to see them make it this far. I didn't want to see the Niners make it this far, but it was kind of an unspoken, known fact that the Niners would be in this game. Since the beginning of the season, you know what I mean? Like, we knew that they were going to be
Even
here.
after that 3-game stretch where they looked terrible. But
Right. And
Hate it. I just hate it.
I know, and I don't like it either. But the Chiefs' offense has kind of come alive, and their defense has played more sound football than they have all year. And even in that game, that AFC Championship game against the Ravens, their offense didn't win that game. They only put up 17 points. It was the defense holding Lamar and that scary unit to 10 points.
Yeah, and actual holding first off.
There you go. They've been holding since week 1. We remember the Jets game. Jermaine Johnson getting held. Holy, that wasn't week 1. What week was that?
Week 4.
Thank you.
Yeah,
The Jets played the Bills week 1.
Yeah, because the only thing I remember from week 1 of the Jets is Aaron Rodgers.
Let's not talk about it. May he rest in peace. He's fine. It's fine.
He's
It's
fine,
just his
but-
Chiefs played
career.
the Lions the first game of the season.
That's right, and they got defeated by Detroit. Brian Branch, rookie second rounder, had a pick
Should have been a
six.
Packers draft pick.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I love Lucas Van Ness, don't get me wrong. Moving on. We'll talk about the Packers here in a moment. We're not going to talk about the Packers' loss. I was just thinking about this before the show, too. Like, Packers fans, are we sad about the loss?
Not really. Nope.
Well, to an aspect, yes.
Well, yeah, because we knew
we were right there. We could be
like,
in this game right now.
We probably would have won the Super Bowl because if we beat the 49ers, well, okay, we're getting off track here, but
it's the truth. It's
the truth. If we beat the 49ers, first off, Jordan Love would have climbed the mountain and Rodgers never could.
Right.
And we would have been like, he is the quarterback of the future. He still is.
Right.
But we would have been
And
like,
then
this proves it.
You're in a situation where you can't lose to the Detroit Lions
Who we've
in the
already
NFC
beat.
Championship game. Yes.
And then we would go play the Chiefs, who
we already beat. It was the same scenario in 2021 when they lost to the Niners. Next week would have been the Rams, who they beat that season.
And
next game
on
would have
that
been
squad with Devontae Adams, yeah,
Yep.
we would have.
And next week would have been the Bengals, who they beat that season.
Really, if you think about it, the only reason we have not won 4 rings in the past, like since 2010, is
the 49ers.
because of the 49ers.
And maybe the Giants.
Yeah.
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 Like they ended up 15-1 season.
Yeah.
So. But, okay. Let's get back on track. Didn't expect to see the Chiefs here, but at the same time, are you surprised? No. Niners, you knew to see here. And I'm just curious, guys, who you think takes this one, and what is your score prediction?
I want the 49ers to take it because I just don't want to see the Chiefs win.
Yeah, I actually have a very similar thought process.
Plus,
Kinda where I'm going.
It would hurt less if the 49ers won because that means we lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion.
And at the same time, it would really suck to see them happy.
Yeah,
I see them
Yeah.
happy too much.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, man.
Yeah. I remember that 2021 game in the divisional. They focused in on a young boy in the crowd, San Francisco 49er fan. Face is all red. You know, he's ice cold out there. His eyes look kind of glassed over, like he's really into this. Was he crying? We don't know. And it was the moment that I said, you know what, that kid needs this more than me. If we lose this game, I'm going to be heartbroken, but that kid's going to be happy. Not this year. When I was watching the game, I'm like, no, it's my year, it's my team. They didn't win anyway. But I have a very similar thought process to you, Liam. I would love to see the Niners win. I don't think they do. Because you look at how they started the last 2 weeks against the Packers, slow start, the Packers didn't capitalize. That's why they lost. The Lions, slow start, the Lions capitalized 24-7 at the end of the first half. Then they choked.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and that defense under Steve Spagnuolo will not choke. If you go in with that kind of start, you are going to lose the Super Bowl. Will you make it competitive? Will you come back to make it close? Yes, I think you will, but you're not going to win. So I think we see the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls by a score of 31-27.
Okay.
It's a good prediction.
Thank you.
For me, I would like to see the 49ers win because I'm sick of all the, all of a sudden Chiefs fans that come up because of Taylor Swift. Thank you. Lovely. It just, it's just frustrating because I
poison.
I get it. She brings a lot of business to the NFL, which is great.
I
love
agree.
that.
I agree.
But
Hate it.
when you keep showing her week after week, even if it's after an Isaiah Pacheco touchdown, they'll show Taylor Swift. Like, I get it if it's after Kelce, yeah, good.
Let me watch the
good
celebration.
but it just like
Of Isaiah
it's a
Pacheco,
little
that's
frustrating. But I will say, I did see something today about the 49ers practice field for their upcoming Super Bowl. The 49ers field, they said, was kind of spongy.
Oh, no.
In a little article here on ESPN. So the average NFL hardness for fields is like a 78. I don't know what the max is, probably like 90, who knows.
Yeah.
With no field being less than 50. The 49ers practice field is considered in the 50s. The 50s.
That's pretty low.
So, and we were talking about last year, too. The field for the Super Bowl, a little slippery in Arizona there when Philadelphia and Kansas City played. A lot of guys slipping on the field, couldn't get any good footing. I mean, they said the NFL put a sod field on top of the turf, which is standard, but could that could be the effect on the 49ers? Possibly.
We'll see.
Personally, I feel like the 49ers with the weapons that they have on offense, they should look fine, but if they, like you said, if they come out flat like they have the last few weeks, the Chiefs are going to capitalize on that, and they're not going to look back. Their defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
At capitalizing on the mistakes of teams like the Ravens. They're not going to just keep it light and let the 49ers back in the game. Now, would I want to see the 49ers absolutely dominate? Yeah, it would make the Packers loss feel less hurtful.
Send Patrick Mahomes home crying.
Yeah.
More like Jackson Mahomes home crying, because I know that if they lose, he will make 1,000 TikToks going.
Won the Super Bowl.
I'm just,
what did you do, Jackson?
Patrick Mahomes, he used to be likable in my eyes, and after that Bills game where he was complaining about the refs, it's like,
yeah,
all right,
since
dude,
then he's been on a villain arc. And
Let's
then
just slow down.
The whole Justin Tucker thing happened.
Seriously.
I really believed he was a class act until this season. You kind of see. Nobody's perfect.
It's getting to him, man.
Nobody's perfect, and obviously you can't. Emotions are hard to keep in check all the time. But when you're
when you're supposed to be the face of the league,
and you're in these
set a good
scenarios where you
example.
look like
Fame
a
is
jerk.
getting to him, man.
Yeah. So score prediction though, Brody.
Score prediction. I think it could be 35-31. I think
In favor of.
I want to say San Francisco, but
All
I have the feeling it's going to be the Chiefs.
All right, 35-31 for the Chiefs, says Brody. Liam.
31-28 49ers.
Whoa. So maybe a Jake Moody field goal wins the game.
I think it's going to be a walk-off field goal for whatever team.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome
After
either
defensive
way.
holding.
After, yeah. Watch it go in, and then there's like an offsides call or something really
And they have
dumb.
to march back 10 yards and whee!
And then you make it again. That'd be awesome.
No, if they have to retry that kick, it'll be a doinker. He'll miss it wide right.
Like, don't get me wrong. If the refs make a call that bail out the Chiefs, you're going to hear about it all season long. And you talk about how often the Chiefs team gets bailed out by NFL referees. Like, I feel like they're so like ridiculed and so like they're under the microscope, so to say.
Well, I feel like this season across like every sport, the 2023 and 2024, every single sport, all of the officials came under this intense scrutiny, and it kind of seemed like it had been building for years, especially in the MLB.
Maybe you'll see some rule changes. I don't know. That's why off seasons can be so fun, and that's what I want to talk about here in a second. But Super Bowl MVP for the game. I got to go CMC, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can see
If they win.
If they win.
And obviously if they don't, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So no question there.
Or Travis Kelce.
He's been on a tear lately, had a really dink in the season since the whole Taylor Swift thing started, and then
if they don't run it to Christian McCaffrey, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if they don't, it'll be Brock Purdy if the 49ers win. Genuinely.
Imagine Brock Purdy's wins Super Bowl MVP as Mr. Irrelevant. Now that's a story.
Yes.
Let's talk about NFL honors. NFL MVP, guys, where's
Jordan
it going?
Should be Jordan Love.
It should be Jordan Love
Jordan
or
Love,
C.J. Stroud.
End of conversation. We're moving on.
It should be between Jordan Love or C.J. Stroud. And I mean that honestly 100% of the truth.
I mean, what about Dak Prescott then?
No.
Why?
Lamar.
Because Lamar. And also because
Dak Prescott led the league in touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jordan Love was second, and he's not getting any credit for anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though. If Jordan Love were to, you'd have to talk about Dak.
I mean, but the reason I wouldn't talk about Dak is because he did not have to bring a team who had just lost. He did not inherit a struggling situation and bring them to the cusp of winning.
That's a great point.
And then he lost in the very first opening round to a team that wasn't supposed to be there, the number 7 seed all time.
That's why I wish that postseason competition counted towards those types of awards. That'd be really cool. But you guys said it's going to Lamar.
It's going to go to Lamar.
I would love to see it go to Christian McCaffrey, CMC. But
I would love to see it go to C.J. Stroud.
Well, I would too, but I'm like
he'll be offensive
based on offensive
he will be offensive rookie of the year. I know we're going to talk about that later, but
and I want to either CMC or Tyreek Hill take MVP. I think Tyreek Hill didn't finish the season the way he started it, so that's why I say CMC. But it's going to be Lamar. I don't see it because did he play well? But the stats aren't there at all.
I get your point, but Lamar taking a team that was pretty injured the first few weeks up to being the first overall seed, and granted the playoffs didn't show it, but he played really well with losing his best target in Mark Andrews for a good part of the season.
Yeah, that's true.
He rallied around his guys to win a playoff game against Houston, which they didn't look great in the first half, but all of a sudden in the second half they just
and kind of the coming of age game for Isaiah Likely as that future tight end for Lamar. Oh my gosh, did he look good? I remember when Mark Andrews went down with an injury, not the big injury at the beginning of the season. You and I had him on fantasy, and I said I started.
It hurt me.
Yeah,
it actually hurt me.
I started Isaiah Likely that week, so I was like, oh, he had a good rookie season. I think he's going to play well in leave of Mark Andrews, and he didn't. But at the end of the year, wow,
he really turned it on.
Defensive Player of the Year, I would really like to see it finally go to T.J. Watt, and if it doesn't, there's something wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
It won't because he got hurt.
It was right at the end of the season.
He got hurt in week 18, right?
It was
right at the end of the season. And I'm telling you, because of that, because he didn't play that last game,
you could say
it will because of that.
Deron Bland, I think he had 5 pick sixes or 6 pick sixes.
6, but he kind of
That's unheard of. But outside of that, he doesn't have it.
Yeah, who else really
he got burned a lot.
Oh, where have I heard this one? Trayvon Diggs? That's crazy. Yeah.
Led league interceptions that 1 year. Yeah. We talked about Offensive Player of the Year. Hopefully CMC. Offensive Rookie, we said C.J. Stroud. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, that's struggling because you really don't think about defensive rookies all that
Devin
much.
Witherspoon is rumored.
Really?
Yeah,
he wasn't
quarterback. But the funny thing is, Carrington Valentine, rookie 7th rounder for the Packers, had a better coverage
you know who we
rate,
didn't talk about for? I'm sorry, Puka Nacua.
I was just going to say,
Puka
Nacua could be it.
Oh my
He's
God.
beat C.J. Stroud.
Yeah,
because he broke records.
He did. He actually broke records. I completely
didn't
forgot
Stroud,
about that.
though, too? He had the most passing yards?
Honestly, I think it is between those two. It's
because you go most passing yards by a rookie,
Yeah.
most receiving yards by a rookie. And I think he also beat a Rams franchise record, and I'm sure Stroud beat a Texans franchise record
yeah,
because
easily.
who else is going to have the most passing yards in that franchise? Ryan Fitzpatrick? No.
Matt Schaub?
No.
Not David
I have
Carr.
not thought about the beard in a while.
Well, I suppose Deshaun Watson. What was his highest season?
I don't
know. I don't care either.
Pretty decent, but who cares?
All right, y'all. That
I
was
mean,
the
you could
NFL
also-
update, but we got to talk about the Packers before we move out of the sport.
Talk about Sam Laporta.
What's that?
Sam Laporta.
Sam Laporta, Offensive Rookie of the Year. All right. I respect the call. I'm not even going to say words. I agree that he might deserve that.
See, the way you put that makes it seem like you don't agree with it.
So this is the sarcasm thing you're talking about
Yes.
with me.
I mean,
Liam says I put things in a way that I seem not to care when we're talking.
When I talk to you outside of everything, it's always like, man, that's cool, Liam. Good job. That's super stellar, and it's just I can't unhear it.
Liam, I want you to know I respect you.
Thank
and
you.
you're very important to me in
Thank
my
you.
life. And the
Same-
same goes to you, Brody.
Sweet, guys. All right. Let's
Same
talk about
goes to
Packers
you,
offseason
Brody.
here.
Same goes to Keaton Waala in the fishbowl. Liam's gonna die now.
Okay.
But
I love you too,
yes,
Brody.
well, we will continue our little series of updates within how the Packers reload for next season.
Can only go up.
Can only go up. Obviously, we talked about the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley. Did we?
No, we didn't.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was last Tuesday.
The Packers signed a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley.
Coordinator.
He was what's that?
You said coordinator.
Sorry, coordinator. Previously, the head coach for Boston College.
Correct.
AJ Dillon's alma mater, and
We're gonna be so much better.
I hope so. He talked. There was a video going around of how he would like to play defense, and I think we're going to reflect kind of the Niners' defensive scheme.
So, yeah, he did coach the Niners for a couple
Right.
years, defensive backs coach, which, by the way, is very huge for the Packers because they kind of struggled with their defensive backs. Like, our safeties were kind of hurt. I mean, our cornerbacks are kind of hurt. Now, granted, Carrington Valentine balled out.
Love that man.
And it looked good in some aspects, but he has a history of being a defensive backs coach, so that brings a lot to the table. Like, you know, we could improve on that front and look a lot better than we did kind of this past year. He has, like I said, he coached the 49ers and defensive backs coach. He also coached Cleveland, Tampa Bay, and a couple like other college teams, especially Ohio State.
And that's huge because underneath him, he got terrible players picked in the first rounds.
Yeah, and they
like players you don't even think about anymore because they didn't do anything.
Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah, seriously. Underneath him, everybody was like, he's one of the best players in the country.
Yeah.
Goes to the NFL, who the heck is he anymore? You know?
Right. And he kind of turned around that Ohio State defensive program. So
Sorry, the Ohio State.
Thank you. No, really excited for this hire. Unfortunately, with the hire, not all the defensive coaches are coming back, so we're losing, I think, Jerry Montgomery, defensive line coach. I love Jerry Montgomery on the defensive line. Perhaps it is time for a new voice in that locker room. But I know our defensive backs coach will be returning, and pass rush specialist will also be returning to the staff. So huge hire there. Love the hire. Rumor was we offered the job to Zach Orr, former Ravens linebacker and Ravens coach. He's now the Ravens defensive coordinator. He opted to stay there.
Jerry Montgomery is already I think he's the defensive line coach for the Patriots.
Right. He interviewed with the Patriots. Did he get the job?
Yeah, 22 minutes ago.
All right, there it is.
Nice.
Thank you for your time, Jerry. I love Jerry Montgomery. But I want to talk about, other than that, Brian Gutekunst's press conference, his end of the season conference. This was a heartbreak for me because he was asked about the Niners game and the outlook of the season. I think he was asked, is the expectation now again Super Bowl going into next season? He goes, I don't think that expectation ever left. You know, up until the last 5 minutes of that game, I thought we were squarely going to the Super Bowl. And that just hit it home for me like,
We were there, man.
yeah, dude, we had him. We were there. We had him. We were going to the big game. Obviously, had to get to the Lions. But it just felt like, yes, if we can do this, we can do anything.
We would have beat the Lions.
So that was a bit heartbreaking, but lots to be excited about. So
A lot of draft capital.
we're going to get to that right after this, but he said he's not going to shy away from impact players in free agency. He said he thinks we have some room at the cap that he's not going to be afraid to go sign a veteran player, an impact player who can help this team. And furthermore, like you said, draft capital. They have 11 picks, 5 in the first 4 rounds. That's insane. 5 in the first 3 rounds, two thirds, 2 seconds, and a first. And he said he's got lots.
We excel at second-round drafting. We really do.
Right, but not third round. Third round we struggle. But he said they've got a lot of flexibility with their picks. Even so, they might look for veteran player trades with said picks. So you could see a guy who, I don't know, is in the 3rd year of their 4-year rookie contract, who's good, but they don't want to pay him. Go trade him. You saw Chase Young go to the Niners last year with that kind of deal.
Is Sammy Bosa still on his rookie contract?
Who's that?
Chargers. Like the other
Joey
Bosa?
Bosa?
No,
he's
in
been
a second
in the
for
league
sure.
for a while.
But why not go trade for him? Yeah. Because you could. And with players in free agency, impact players, you need a safety. How cool would it be to bring Micah Hyde back to Green Bay?
I saw on the free agent market. I like Micah Hyde. Really, really great player, and I loved when he played for the Packers. Mm-hmm. Antoine Winfield, that was one could be a big one.
That I went like, dude, I didn't realize he was a free agent already. He would play 4 years on his rookie contract already. I would love to see Antoine Winfield play for the Packers at safety.
Now, you said that we have some room at the cap space. Are we finally cutting Bakhtiari loose, or what is his deal right now?
I think Gutekunst kind of kept it an open book with Bakhtiari, and I think that's where you need to be because I obviously think he can help the team. They're not going to – I've said this before. They're not going to draft a tackle in the first round. They like offensive line versatility, so if you're going to play more than one position, they'll draft you.
Yep.
But they're not going to draft you until the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round or 6th round. That's where they get their guys. They don't care about 1st or 2nd round. They drafted Josh Myers in the 2nd round. How'd that go? He's not the best. He had a great playoff run, but he did not have a good regular season. So – really curious to see what they do with the offensive line with possibly moving on from Josh Myers. John Runyon Jr. probably going off in free agency.
I don't know. Bakhtiari has taken up so much of that space, though.
I know, but it's the
million.
same thing. Like if you trade him, if you cut him, if you keep him, it's still a huge hit.
I know.
So it's like, pick your poison. You know what I mean? But we saw the future of the offensive line kind of come out. Rasheed Walker played good at left tackle down the stretch.
Somehow.
Sean Ryan, great tidbit there. Sean Ryan, 3rd round pick last year, who was suspended, didn't play a whole lot last year. Played a lot of snaps. He and John Runyon Jr. rotated at right guard.
What did he get suspended for?
I think PEDs or something.
Probably.
But how often do you see a team rotate their right guard every offensive possession? They did that with tackle too.
High school level
right?
is pretty much
They did that with Rasheed Walker and Josh Nijman until Rasheed Walker won the job. But John Runyon Jr. and Sean Ryan rotated at right guard all season. And that was one of the coolest things I think I've seen because
keeps them fresh.
Yeah, and they both played well. So
Zach Tom, I want to say,
should be an All-Pro.
I mean, considering he blocked Nick Bosa and didn't allow any sacks from Nick Bosa that game, that really won me over with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's our starting right tackle. He could play right guard. He could play left guard. He can play center. I think he played left tackle and center in college, and now he's playing right tackle in the NFL. The guy is a stud. And we'll break down, I think, probably the Packers roster in the coming week. We're going to do mock drafts for the Packers in the coming weeks. We're going to do a first-round mock draft for the entire league. We're going to look at free agents. So if you like the Packers, you like the offseason like I do, it's one of the most fun times of the year for me. I hate that football's not around, but I love this stuff. So look forward to that. And I think that's going to do it for our NFL updates this week. Stay tuned for more.
An actual 30 minutes we spent on that, by the way.
Right. Wow. Thank
Crazy.
you. Thank you so much. And we'll talk about the Super Bowl next week. We'll break that one down. NBA update time, ladies and gentlemen. What was that?
That was me tapping him on the shoulder and
Nice
giving
job,
him a look
Brody.
of encouragement.
Brody, you need this. I'm encouraging you.
I'm so ready, guys.
NBA update time. All right, let's talk about the Bucks, you guys. Bucks are still second in the conference and on a little bit of a skid here. They're sitting at 33-17. Last week they were sitting at 32-14. What does that mean, Liam?
But I'm going to pass this over to Brody.
Brody, what does that mean?
1-3 in the last 4 games.
That is what that means. They are 5. No, I think that's wrong. I think they're like 8 games behind the Celtics now.
Something like that.
The Bucks fell to the Jazz most recently, 123-108. Bobby Portis with an okay day at 27 points, and Giannis had another 30-point game, officially at 33 points. And looking ahead, the Bucks play the Timberwolves tomorrow on Thursday, and the Hornets coming on Friday. And like you just said, they lost 3 of the last 4 games. So what are our initial thoughts on Doc Rivers?
So
I love how quick you word it is.
it just
He's been thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
it's kind of rough because you look at the last 4 games. Lost 3 out of the last 4. I think it's just kind of getting used to a new head coach and a new kind of system.
Yeah.
Trying to, Doc Rivers is a legend, obviously not for great reasons, a lot of blowing in the playoffs, but it just, I think it might turn on a little bit if they, if they look against the Timberwolves, who have been on a pretty good stretch this past year, and then just completely blow Charlotte out of the water. I think it'll look better. We're not even to All-Star week. It's in a couple weeks, I believe. So, if it looks terrible after All-Star week, then I'll be concerned. But if we look good going into the All-Star break, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of the interesting thing about, in the NBA or any other sport that you have so many games in your season that you can fire your head coach, and rather than having an interim head coach the rest of the season, you just go hire another guy. And you don't see that a lot in the NFL. Like the Colts did it with Jeff Saturday last year. That was crazy.
Okay.
Actually, it was actually crazy.
But you make a good point that you might have to see a few weeks of struggling for things to kind of change and improve altogether and start to have a good, push of synergy for the team. Liam, you were going to say something.
It was something to do with the NFL, because I remember we just didn't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what they did, what the Steelers did for their offensive coordinator?
Yes. Back to the NFL talk. Arthur Smith, the new offensive coordinator for
The mustache stays,
the
baby.
Steelers. How do you hire a guy like that? I'm sure he's a very smart offensive mind. But
Go with all your buddies at around 9 p.m. You go to a bar and you take a lot of shots, and then you just kind of waste out of there. At 3 in the
So, can I
morning.
have the job? Yeah, man.
I had a good time with you tonight. They'll run the offense probably through Zach Gentry, and Zach Gentry's not even on the team. They'll still run the offense through.
yeah.
They ran the offense through John Smith last season. They had Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, and they didn't use them.
I've never seen Brody this angry.
Arthur Smith is such a hack. Why do you hire him? I don't personally like the Steelers that much, but I feel bad for the fans that they have to deal with another terrible offensive coordinator.
Oh my
Here
god!
first, folks. Welcome to SportsPoint.
Also, they should have hired Joe Prunty as their interim.
They should have probably waited to hire Eric Bellamy from the Commanders, who's now returning an offensive coordinator, former Chiefs offensive coordinator.
He was
He's
talking
insane.
about the Bucks.
The Bucks.
I
Joe
just-
Prunty
I just-
was the.
I just lost my thing.
You just lost your mic, didn't you?
What were you saying?
Joe Prunty for the Bucks, because I'm taking it back to the NBA. Gosh darn it, we're not talking
Oh,
about the NFL anymore.
sorry.
I know I started it, but I'm.
Let's
ending
go
it.
back.
We should have honestly just stuck with Joe Prunty for a little bit,
Yeah.
and waited more than 5 days.
And we said it last week, like if you're going to make a change and have a new coach come in, have him be just the front of it. Be the face. Have Doc Rivers do all the press conferences, but have
Joe Prunty, dude.
him do the team meetings, have him scheme the game up, and talk to the team on the sideline or the side. What would you call that on the court? The bench, maybe.
Yes, the bench.
Thank you. No, I'm right there with you guys on that one. You said the Timberwolves are kind of on a good push here, so maybe it's not the week. We'll see. Hockey time, Liam.
Okay.
NHL, NCAA. I just can't wait to talk about the Oilers, man. The Edmonton Oilers.
Don't worry, I've got an extra thing to talk about.
Edmonton Oilers, guys. If we make any profit from any show we ever do, we're buying Edmonton jerseys. And
Oh, you're
I'm
buying.
not buying
I'm not
one.
buying.
Let's
it.
make a bet. Let's make a bet.
My dead corpse, I'll
Let's make a
wear
bet.
all this jersey. No, I'm not gonna make a bet about that.
Why?
If I'm gonna make a bet, we're just gonna do the other thing I told you about. But I'm not wearing an Oilers jersey.
Make this quick. I got
Imagine you
class.
wearing
Yeah,
Oilers
we gotta get out of here. All right, everything.
All right.
Last week I said everything was terrible. This week everything is marginally better. Vancouver and Boston are still jostling for the number 1 spot. Panthers have turned it around. They're doing good. They're number 4 in the league now. Knights doing better. They're still blowing key games.
Wow.
They have a lot of key players injured. Shea Theodore and, as of recently, Jack Eichel, which is a huge blow. Jack Eichel, number 2 overall back in 2014. Yeah, that's bad. Oilers climbing the ladder. They're going to be scary down the stretch. They play the Knights as of recording this tomorrow, so by the time this comes out yesterday. And if they win, if the Knights lose and the Oilers win, they will tie for the longest winning streak ever in the history of the NHL at 16 games.
So if you're saying we win the next two,
They will have the longest streak of all time.
Yes.
Kraken are climbing out of the pit that they cornered for themselves, that they dug for themselves. They're
I
doing
love
pretty good.
I love it.
Toronto doing what Toronto does, average. They do play the Islanders tonight as of recording, and they don't have the best
How
history.
happy are you to be average?
I mean, look, I dealt with Brewers being average for many years, so okay, I will say though, the All-Star game for NHL was this past weekend in Toronto, so that was pretty cool. Pretty decent.
They
games.
still have an actual game.
I love that.
Team Austin Matthews won, so
Oh God. Did you see their jerseys?
love you, Austin Matthews. They're
Power Rangers.
I
Yeah,
love
actually,
the Power Rangers.
they're okay jerseys. I didn't really like them, but
I love the Power Rangers. NHL, let's see them.
NCAA hockey, because Brody's got to get out of here. NCAA hockey, the Badgers technically split the series with Minnesota. We lost Friday. Okay, he's looking at him right now. We lost Friday in overtime, 2-1. That sucked really bad. There was one penalty called that entire game, boys.
one
Wow.
penalty. Oh, that's right. You were telling me
Yeah,
that.
one
Wow.
penalty. And it's not because they didn't happen. It's because it's the border battle. It's got to be competitive. And they didn't do anything. Then the penalty they called, they got wrong. They got wrong.
That's the best part.
They called the penalty and they got it wrong. We took them to the shootout Saturday where we technically the record breaks, it goes down as a tie, but we did pick up the extra point in overtime. That keeps us within 5 points of Michigan State University, who's
sir.
leading the league in 40, and we are at 35.
Yes, sir.
Big Ten is wrapping up soon. There's about 2 weeks left. MSU sitting atop the podium at the moment. And like I said earlier in the show, horribly rough series. Everybody was in agreement, both Minnesota and Wisconsin. And it kind of seems like this is the year everybody's really looking at officials.
Yeah, dude.
Started with the MLB. Everybody realized, hey, maybe we shouldn't put up with the fact that it's only human.
What's the name of the umpire in the
Angel
MLB?
Hernandez.
Angel
Thank
Hernandez,
you.
DJ Rayborn.
Oh my gosh.
Either one of them.
That guy makes me laugh.
I'm not kidding
dude.
you. I saw Angel Hernandez in a game. Brewers game was it 2022. I went and I didn't realize this. All of a sudden I looked it up and he was behind the plate. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then they made a
going home.
They made a wrong call at third base, and that was DJ Rayborn making a terrible call. And I'm like, this is awful. And we
Angel-
lost that game.
Angel Hernandez once had 4 straight calls overturned in the same inning when he was there.
4 straight
4
calls.
straight. He missed every single one.
How do you employ that, man?
Because the umpires union, and I'm not. This is
I
how.
see. That
Because they
makes
have a
complete
union.
sense.
Yeah, and that's the only reason they haven't been able to fire him.
You can't beat a union.
But
he
the- you
sues
just
the league
can't.
every year.
But he didn't ump a ton of games last season. For a
Unionized.
while, he was like not on any games. All of a sudden, he just kind of popped up again late in the season.
Because they
umped
require
some.
them
Yeah.
to be able to play, work a
He hasn't worked a World Series ever because he's
and he
awful.
sues. He sues the league for that.
Sorry, that
Really?
you're-
Yes.
Sorry that you're awful, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
He
better.
Yeah, he sued the league 3 times because they won't apply him in World Series because he alleges that it's racially biased.
Oh, I
And
see.
He had the worst call. I think he had 12% of called strikes that were correct. I think one.
I just remember the Brewers game against
Reds.
Philadelphia and Kyle Schwarber. I mean, he looked at a ball that was way
I love that, man.
way outside the plate, calls a strike 3, and Schwarber just absolutely throws his bat down, and Josh Hader's standing there like, "Ugh," like that was not supposed to be my call, but
Didn't he draw a line or no? I've
He
seen
went-
the
It was
fit.
actually.
I've seen the
both
fit.
sides.
Yes,
he went
yeah.
both sides.
Yeah,
yeah, it was. I remember watching that. That was hilarious.
that was so fun.
Despite all of that, back to the NCAA.
Thank you.
Despite
We're so off
all
topic.
of that, the Badgers are still at number 4. They didn't fall once.
Take the money and run, boys.
Take the money and run. And that's all I've got for hockey. That's
Let's
it.
go. I'm happy that you're happy that things are marginally better in the hockey world for Liam. And I couldn't be more happy that the Oilers are about to break the longest
About
winning
to throw a
streak.
shoe at you.
Longest win streak in NHL history, 2 games away. Why wouldn't it
I
happen?
hope they lose tonight. I hope.
They
It'd be funny.
won't.
Oh my God.
Well,
funny.
if they do lose tonight, then when this comes out, this is going to look really silly. But
That's the best part.
That's the best part. Well, we'll see what happens, boys. Thank you all so much for joining us here at SportsPoint. We're happy to have you here. Liam, Brody, thank you so much for joining us here back on the show. Please stay tuned for this weekend as we have 2 streams, guys. 2 streams. Friday night and Saturday night, the UWSP men's hockey team takes on UW Superior here at KB Willard Arena. A home series here for the Pointers. Me, myself, and Liam will be on the call, and Brody will also be there as well. You might hear his voice. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're all going
see.
to be there in attendance. And if you're not going to be there, watch at home with us on the stream. But if you are going to be there, please pack it up, be loud, Let's do this. And from all of us at SportsPoint, we will see you next week.